Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Devotional. This is a banked video, and we are at that time of the year where we are turning a corner in the season and weather, and people are going back to school and all the things. So we're still following the transformational process, and I would like to say that things in my life are very busy. So these banked videos are going to become probably a little bit more normal for a little while, and then I will hopefully be able to get back to lives. As you can see, my scene has changed a little bit. I did a house reorganization and I've changed some things around, and so you see a new piece of artwork in the back, and you see my household altar. Okay, so we're gonna get started. And if you're just joining me, my name is Red Moon Eagle, and this is Daily Devotions with Red Moon Eagle. And as you can see, this is me first thing in the morning. These are raw. I don't edit them. I don't polish anything. This is just the way life is. Too many times we see things normalized on social media that is curated and fancified and prettied up, and we all know that life is real. So we're going to start in the 1-5 layering. I lost my words for a minute there. And this comes from the Sacred Geometry Activations. And the card for the 1-5 is called Merkaba, which is 32. And for some reason, I didn't have it selected. Merkaba. The frequency of Merkaba supports our ability to use our consciousness to traverse in other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our Akashic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experiences into our present and serve our highest purpose. Isn't that a beautiful card? The word Merkaba can loosely be translated as chariot. It refers to the human light body, the energy field surrounding humans that is generated by our quantum parts of our DNA. Therefore, this field is quantum as well. This energy field has a geometric shape of a star tetrahedron, which consists of two equally sized interlocking fields of a tetrahedra or pyramid within a common center. Through this counterpointing of these fields while breathing in certain patterns, it is believed that we can change or move our perception of reality into other dimensions. That's why the Merkaba is believed to be the vehicle that allows us to travel through different times and dimensions. The upward tetrahedron of this activation refers to the masculine aspect, its fiery colors. The downward tetrahedron refers to the feminine, the dark and mysterious. When the two opposing forces come together in perfect union, the Merkaba activates in its full potential. Excuse me. Okay. The arrowhead pattern refers to our ancient past as well as our alien and off-planet connection to other realities. The water in the background indicates the emotional realm, the guidance system that helps us to navigate through our world of energies in relation to our physical bodies. The green and turquoise indicate our heart-based truth, and surrounding square represents the physical world in which our reality is based. Okay. I actually have a lot to say about that, so I'm going to move to 2. And the 2-6 is Snow White, which is number 4 in the De La Newt. I had this jealous stepmother. She couldn't stand me being more beautiful than she was. She sent a hunter to kill me. I found refuge in the forest, inside the house of 7 adorable dwarves. The queen, disguised as an old lady, tried to kill me again with a poisoned apple. I fell to a deadly sleep. Angry and sad, the dwarves killed the queen, and a charming prince saved me with a true love kiss and took me into his castle. The message is, there may be jealous and mean people around you, but please don't let them poison your heart. Kindness is the most precious thing that always wins in the end. Even when scared or sad, don't stop being kind. Kindness will always make you beautiful and lovable. Sweetness and softness can really do no harm in a cruel world. So raise my flag high and be as kind as you can. I'm going to come back to that. We're going to come back to all of them. We're going to weave them all together. Mausoli, the Oracle of Souls, the card here is Lilith. And Lilith is the empire of Urkala. The realm of bright and dark dualities. In Urkala, sorrow and joy are shared and balanced with equal measure. The gods of Urkala value obligation and sacrifice. Few who enter this domain are ever permitted to leave again. To dwell in the Urkala is to accept the obligations of society, to seek a simple and finite existence, and to understand the balance between one's rational mind and one's emotional experience. Lilith, the thief of life, a creature who has inspired multiple legends across numbers of domains and cultures. She pays no attention to the border or boundary, consuming any lost soul that wanders across her path in her insatiable hunger. Lilith is the principle of bottomless appetite, that which consumes without nourishment or purpose and is never sated. Where Lilith appears, examine your desires with an honest eye. Would achieving them truly feed you, or are you following an instinct without understanding what it serves? The domains of hunger, animalism, and instinct. We're going to come back to that. And the final is the 4-8, which is the lantern. And this is number 40, and number 40 is in the phase of the crone or the elder, acceptance, integration, reconciliation, and wisdom. And this card is inner integration. Beautiful card. There is peace, equilibrium, and fulfillment in integrating the inner wild with the taming and tempering effect life has on us. Throughout our lives, we go through many phases and versions of ourselves. We explore different roles, terrains, experiences. At each stage of human development, we attune to the archetypal consciousness of the maiden, mother, guardian, and crone. Broadly speaking, each archetype energy is a life stage or cognitive window that shapes and contains the way we are capable of perceiving, processing, and engaging with life through that phase. Each facet or version of ourselves in and of itself is incomplete, wild, raw, and uncut. We learn to find our way and adjust as we go. This takes time. Experience and increased maturity tame us as we slowly master maiden, mother, guardian, crone energy. Eventually, our rough edges get worn down to a smooth surface. We become increasingly adept at recognizing the red flags and which battles are necessary to fight. Drawing this card is a crone's blessing. It represents the further integration. This may be a time for gaining peace and appreciation and reviewing the stage of your life up until this point. Notice how the epiphanies and preoccupations have influenced different versions of yourself. This crone card offers you to hold onto her serene consciousness while you imagine your spirit self as the light and your lifespan as a kaleidoscope. It doesn't matter which way you turn the knob, which colors rise, and how the patterns emerge. It is always the spirit self that shines its brilliant life through. Your light is always illuminating and glistening through what is clouded. Should your light ever be tempered with in the future, always remember your spirit self continues. It cannot be exhausted. The message of this card is to integrate what you love and what continues to resonate from previous versions of yourself. Live the harmony of your wild through your time. Okay, so how do all these cards come together? Well, this was the clue card today when I was reading through these. So we're going to go back to the Merkaba. So the Merkaba, number 32 here, is about... So I'll read it again. The frequency of the Merkaba supports your ability to use your consciousness to traverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates your access to your Akashic or your higher spiritual self, merging the totality of your experiences into your present to serve your highest purpose. So one of the things about the Merkaba, and I love working with tetrahedrons, especially when you have like stones or crystals that have been cut into a tetrahedron. The Merkaba is that three-dimensional representation of how they're all put together. And I love that stones are cut this way. I love how you can do 3D geometric shapes. There was a math teacher I worked with many, many years ago, and when she was teaching geometry in her class, she always had all of the paper flat cutouts printed on the printer, and the kids would cut them out and then glue them all together to create the shapes. And she had a Merkaba that was huge hanging from her ceiling in her room. And it was made with these beautiful chopsticks, and it was a Merkaba inside a Merkaba inside a Merkaba. And inside, like the third or fourth layer, there was a pyramid. And then inside that pyramid was another pyramid. Inside that pyramid was a square, and inside that square was a circle. And I will never forget the beautiful imagery. And it was done with this beautiful colored paper, and you could see all the way through it. It was just amazing. Anyway, so the Merkaba is all about the layers of realities in your dimension, your spirit self, who you are as a spiritual entity, living inside the meat suit, me and my common phrases, right? And the Merkaba is about how you're integrating your blueprint, who you are as a spiritual entity, into this meat suit, and how you are channeling through who you really are in your natural form, your human meat suit, through this nurtured experience filter that's very messy. And when we take in the 1-5, so it's not just that creative, we're here doing our thing, and also that higher self awareness from that 5 place, there's also the Snow White. So the Snow White is this higher spiritual, for lack of a better description, the pure soul that you are. You are light, you are love, you are this amazing entity, no matter where you come from in the multidimensional spiral of what we think of. And we can't even perceive outside what we know. And you are this beautiful, loving, light entity, okay? And you come into this world and you experience pain and hardship and cruelty and meanness. And it's amazing how many amazing, wonderful people that hurt and then turn around and hurt others. Hurt people hurt people. It's a very common phrase in psychology. It's very common in counseling circles and social work circles. And I say it all the time because I have to remind myself that when someone comes at me with unkindness, hurt and fear and pain, it's because they're hurting. They're hurting or attempting to hurt me because they hurt. And so the Snow White card is the 2-6. It's the 2-6. It's the love is in the connection, and love is action. And the action that you need to bring, instead of the hurt that wells up when someone hurts you, is the kindness and the love. That doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean you get rolled over. Don't let somebody steamroll you. You can have firm boundaries and be kind while you're doing it. And that leads us to Lilith. And Lilith is in the 3-7. And there's a harsh truth about getting lost in the hunger of assuaging the pain. And I don't know if you know what the word assuage means, but relieving the pain, making the pain go away. And when I talk about hurt people, Lilith is very much a representation of that. And the consumption of taking something in to ease the pain. I've witnessed it over and over again. Addiction through substances, right? Alcohol and drugs, food. Food is a substance. You can try to assuage pain through food, the pleasure of food, the dopamine hit of food. Alcohol, cocaine, heroin, meth. Drug addiction comes from a place of pain, and it's a mental illness, right? Like, it's an illness of where's the trauma and where's the pain, and where are you trying to assuage the pain? What are you taking in? Hoarding of things, buying more things to assuage the pain of emptiness or disappointment or fear. There's so many different things in our world that are harsh and difficult and hard. And Lilith is a representation of the raw truth in the 3-7 position, and how she shows up is the harsh truth that nobody wants to hear, right? Like, did you go buy that thing because you were bored? Right? Like, did you go buy that thing because you didn't want to go through your garage and find the other thing that you already have that would have made do? 100%. We all do it. 100%. I don't think anybody is exempt from this. But the 7 reminds us that that harsh truth means that it's important to pay attention to that. The messaging is clear. It's very specific. It's very focused. Like, to connect, right, to who you are as a higher light being. We say higher, and I don't mean like level as in better or worse, but as in a light being that you're living in a meat suit. To connect to that, you have to go through the pain and the hurt to find equilibrium between who you are as an entity living in the meat suit in this very sideways world. Our world right now is full of divisiveness and people wanting you to pick a side. And picking a side is sometimes even more stressful, right? Like, it makes you want to stick your head in the sand and just make it all go away. And Lilith is the representation of the absorption of your soul getting lost in the chaos of everything around. Like, just to make the pain go away, I'm going to go watch 50 hours of House or whatever it is, the downloading service and the show that you're going to watch. I don't even think I've watched 4 episodes of House. But anyway, came up in conversation the other day. But we get lost, and then we consume. And when we're consuming to assuage a pain, what are we avoiding? And what's the thing we really should turn around and look at and not let ourselves get lost and be unkind to ourselves and disconnect ourselves from who we are as spiritual entities living in this meat suit. Be kind to yourself, have good boundaries, and really pay attention to, I think 3 is like the word of pay attention, right? Like, focus, pay attention, look at the details, and look at the details with honesty, integrity, and be able to say, you know, this is the thing I can deal with and these are the things I can't deal with, and be okay with that. And know that eventually you'll circle back, because inner integration is the card that pulls it all together. I had a discussion, it came up not very long ago, where somebody said, you know, I've done all this trauma work and I've been working on my inner dialogue, and part of the inner dialogue was this, and I got trapped. I got trapped in this loop again. How do I stop getting trapped in the loop? And inner integration is a very good representation of, in our Western world especially, there's this idea that you do a thing and then you move past it and you never get back there again. And then you go from point A to point B, and that's it. It's a straight line, it goes one direction. That is not how life really works. Life is a spiral. You hit something, you change something, you tweak it, you circle back around, and you hit it again, and you tweak it, and you adjust with it, and you move with it. You will retouch pain, hurt, discomfort, fear, sadness. You will touch those things over and over and over again, reintegrating the lesson a little bit at a time. Life is not a bite into an apple and you live it all in one moment, right? We live entire lifetimes over time, right? Time that doesn't exist, but we won't talk about that today. And in that line, we will recognize our higher spiritual self and we will forget our spiritual self. We will have our spiritual self, we will disconnect from our spiritual self. We will need to have experiences that hurt us, that cause pain, that trigger us, where we're going to hide, and then learn to be kind, have better kindness with ourselves and with others, and grow through the process of you experience a trauma and then you slowly unwind what that traumatic lesson is. I have an internal dialogue that I have honed, and part of that entire internal dialogue isn't what it was when I was going through some trauma when I was younger, which was why is this person doing this to me? This person is supposed to be my parent and is supposed to love me and is supposed to not hurt me. Why does it hurt? Why did they do this to me? To where is the lesson? This is a re-trigger. Where is it living in my body? And what do I need to move? What do I need to work on? What is the energy that brings up? And how do I process it? And because of my own neurodiversity, learning how to use different tools in different circumstances, I got a toolbox. I got a toolbox of tools that I have gleaned over my life, and not every tool works for the same thing. And I can go decades without using one tool and then have an experience where that one tool is the one I need for that moment. And life is not, it's very rarely where you go, oh, I fixed the trauma, I fixed the thing, I fixed this, I'm not going to go spend $50 every time I get depressed. You might do fine for a decade. You might do fine for 6 months. And then you find yourself out with $50 in your pocket and go, I'm going to go spend money that I shouldn't because I'm triggered, I'm traumatized, something bubbled up unconsciously. Do you catch yourself that time? Maybe you don't, but maybe it bubbles up again a year from now and you're sitting in the parking lot going, wait a minute, I should not be spending money. Why am I wanting to spend money? Where's my trigger? Where is it uncomfortable in my body? Now I'm going to take my car and I'm going to drive to a park and I'm going to walk around and not spend that money, right? Like you fall off the wagon, you get back on the wagon. And each time you learn something more about yourself, what triggered you, where your knee-jerk response is, where are the things that you need to work on. And slowly as you grow, there comes time when everything seems like, oh my God, I got it. I got the magic cookie, right? I got the magic potion, and it goes well for a while, and then it's one thing triggers and you fall off the wagon. That's okay. Be kind to yourself. Recognize where your weaknesses are. That's okay too. And the Merkaba is where you lean into. You lean into the smooth moments, the moments of, I got it. It worked out great. I figured it out. And you lean into the layers of reality and dimension of your higher self that says, here you go. Here's your sign. Here's your coincidence. Here is the validation from the universe that you're exactly where you need to be to learn whatever that lesson is. The universe will send you stuff all of the time. Just be mindful, just notice, write it down. I know I talk about it all the time. Write it down, write it down, write it down. And everybody tells me, oh, I'm going to remember that. Oh, I'm going to remember. You're not. So much neuroscience and so much brain science. There are very, very, very few people, percentage-y, right, that have that perfect memory where they remember every single thing of their entire life, okay? Write things down. If you are in that moment where you want to remember something, my grandfather, bless his soul, he had, he always wore those farmer's shirts that had the pockets, and he had a little moleskin thing that he always had in his pocket. And I saw him pulling that out all the time going, hold on a second. And he'd write something down. And it could be anything. I asked him once, like, what are you writing down right now? He goes, I'm just writing down a thought I had. And he was always writing stuff down to help him remember, to be mindful. And it was for him. That little moleskin notebook wasn't for the world. It was for him and what had meaning to him. And you can do that too. Write stuff down. Write the things down that help you process or help you remember. Maybe you never open that moleskin notebook again. It doesn't matter. You're using another tool to help align your higher self and your physical manifestation. And merging the totality of our experiences into the present to serve our highest purpose. That's what the Merkaba is. It takes all of the things to, in that moment that you're sitting in the car going, wait a minute, I've been here before. I did it differently this time. I'm trying intentionally to not let that Lilith energy, that avoidance energy take over and me put myself in a position that I don't want to be in. How do I change it? What do I do so that I don't fall into that pattern again? The overarching today is very much learning to lean into the cycles of flow in our lives and the things that we grow with, and they are not in a straight line. Things will repeat over and over and over again. The spiral is constantly moving. The spiral itself is not a bad thing. It's how tightly that spiral is wound and how fast it's going. You want openness in your spiral, you want rhythm in your spiral, you don't want it to be still and you don't want it to be tight. You want it to have flow and you want to have a generous ease of movement, and where you're not in a spiral where you're just spiraling around and around and around in the same circle. You want to open that up. So I hope you all have a beautiful day today, and I hope this daily devotional was helpful for you. I drew these cards this morning and I was like, I know exactly what it's talking about with me. So I've written a whole bunch on it today already. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. Take some time, write in your journal, take an Epsom salt bath, get outside and enjoy. And if you are sensitive to the outside smoke, wear an air filter if you can, or a mask, or get yourself inside with an air filter. Maybe do some yoga, maybe do some gentle stretches instead of maybe a walk outside, because the air can be very toxic to a lot of people. So I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you in prayer. Blessed be.